Hello, everybody. This is Zerda with Zerda MTG, and I'm back at it again today with another historic gameplay video. As I am playing the same deck as I did last week, I'm not going to bother putting up a new deck tech. However, this hand does seem fairly good. It's just missing a few pieces, and I don't think those are pieces that are going to be too difficult to find. I just need a little bit of mana. Not even that much. One land of any color, as long as this priest lives, will do. That could be a concern, though. And the other card I'm going to need is going to be a Woe Strider. But I should get fairly deep into my deck before that becomes a problem, I hope at least. Somewhat concerned that I'm going up against the colorless deck. I can get to Ulamog fairly quickly, and I don't really have any interaction with them. This isn't the kind of hand that allows me to beat them down. I'll probably go Priest into Bastion, because that allows me to get in more damage, though I am tempted to drop the Blood Artist instead. There we go. Waiting on the opponent to finish their scry. Hopefully they don't have any ramp, and the Citadel will come down before they get their monument off. Or at least their monument turn. And I really wish I could justify getting one of those Lotus Pets. They are, however, as I'm sure you've seen, quite pricey. Can't really justify it over anything else. Okay. As I don't plan on using this to sack anything this turn, I'm just going to go ahead and get down my Bastion. And next turn, I suppose it'll be Blood Artist and... should it be Paradise Druid or Wall of Blossoms? I guess damage-wise, the Druid is better. But depending on what I draw, I might just want an extra card. 4, 5, 6. Alright, it looks like I'll manage to get it down at least before Ugin. I'll have one Citadel turn pre-Ugin. I'm just going to have to hope that's good enough. Yes, I'll go with Paradise Druid. My reasoning for dropping the Druid instead of the Wall of Blossoms is I already have what I'm going to play, and nothing is really going to change that. So, might as well get in for maximum damage. Also, technically lets me attempt to go off even if they kill my priest, so long as I draw a land. Or even if I draw a land, I can hold the priest for post-Citadel. Of course, I think I'd rather just be able to play the land off the top with Citadel, so I doubt I'm going to do that. But it is an option. I also suppose it lets me, when I play my land eventually... No, because I'm going to sacrifice the Druid. No, it'll still give me the extra mana I need. I just won't attack with it after all. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, got a decent amount of damage already. Alright, so here my audio cut off a bit, so please forgive the voiceover, everybody. But here I'm just attacking to try and get in as much damage as I can. Casting Citadel. Ugh. This will also leave me with enough mana left over to cast the Wall of Roots to try and get past a uncastable in my deck after the first land is played. Unfortunately, our first hit is Citadel, and then we hit our second land and already have to use the Wall of Roots. Or Wall of Blossoms. Roots is the mana land, or mana wall. Alright, get pretty lucky with a double hit on Goose. And then we find a Blood Artist, so if it wasn't already going to be lethal, a Bolas' Citadel activation will definitely be lethal now. Here's another Wall of Blossoms. I think about it for a second, hit Control, and then cast in case Collected Company is the next card in our deck. That way we'll still be able to cast it with the Wall of Blossoms on the stack. Unfortunately, instead, there's just a land on top. And then another land. So we got 9 permanents out, and we were 1 short of a Bolas' Citadel activation. Which is honestly not that bad, just given we didn't actually have a Woe Strider. And unfortunately, our opponent has the Ugin, and just look at our hand, look at the top card of our library. There is no coming back from this, so it's just a concession. One more spell was all we needed on top, and unfortunately, we just couldn't get there. Alright, so looking at this hand, it's pretty decent if we're up against a creature deck. And based on that, I've opted to keep. Looks like we're getting paid off. We draw another Wall of Blossoms, which is pretty good here. Just letting us dig deeper, keep some of the damage off. This would be obviously a lot better if we were on the play, but even so, keeping their bigger creatures in check. Things like their Pelt Collector, which can grow ridiculously quickly, is going to be pretty important. Looks like we have our 2 blockers lined up now. One of them will be for the Pelt Collector, one of them will be for their Troll. I toy with the idea of playing the Elvish Visionary here, but in the end I opt to go with the Wall of Blossoms and a Tapland, at least after I see that I haven't drawn a Goose or anything of the like. This is also just building up a decent amount of board state to drop the Citadel and activate it in the same turn. So, we're not in too bad of a shape. Opponent missing land drops is definitely helping us here. If they had a Questing Beast, we'd be in pretty bad shape. So we just declare our blocks, and take our medium beats. I don't know what I was saying in the original clip here that made me take so long, but there's the worst draw in our deck, a 3rd Bolas' Citadel. Basically, everything past the first one is a blank if they don't kill it, so you never really want to draw it. Here, dropping the Priest, it keeps the Visionary off me, and it also lets me get to the mana for Citadel next turn. And the dork there, I was mentioning in the original video, I will 100% be trading for the Scavenging Ooze. Scavenging Ooze is just a big problem. It means that if we try and play this slower game, and if we try and play the slower game, we're gonna eventually want to recur our Woe Strider, and that's not really going to be an option with news in play. Of course, they ram through our priest, putting us in a pretty bad spot. I debate on blocking the ooze here, because if I draw land, I can Citadel. I think I end up taking the trade offer, even though it's going to slow me down. Or no, that's right. They just opted not to attack, which gives me time to drop a Woe Strider. I'm now up to 5 permanents, and a Blood Artist up to 6 with a Blood Artist in play. Opponent could have attacked there if they had opted to not drop the Pelt Collector, and could have just eaten my priest from my grave, growing it to kill and not trade. I think they did make the right play though. It's more damage this turn compared to last and this turn. If they hadn't, here they drop a pretty scary creature, and also put themselves well into trample over range. But they make the misplay of not attacking. We just drop a Citadel and proceed to go to town. Given that, well, hey, single Bolas a Citadel activation is basically always lethal if you have a Blood Artist in play. We opted to bin the creature there because it wasn't going to be enough, and it's just kind of life negative. It doesn't do anything extra, so might as well get it out of the way, look for something better. At that point, I was still thinking of the Woe Strider kill, but ended up not needing it, just activating the Citadel, putting 10 Blood Artist triggers on the stack all at once, and going for game. Alright, and here, we see a hand that's a little bit risky, and I opt to keep it. Game plan here being go Paradise Druid, hopefully into Woe Strider. We have a Bastion, we have the Citadel, basically everything we need except for a few more lands. So as long as we can get those lands, this hand seems pretty powerful. Alright, our opponent leads on Zulfaran Void, meaning they are one of 2 decks. Either the Sculpting Steel aggro, or the much more likely, much less forgiving mono colorless deck. And the Guardian Idol makes me start thinking that that's exactly what they are. We set up to deploy a Citadel kill as fast as possible. If I'm not much mistaken, this allows us to go for it next turn. Yeah. Because that's 4 mana off our lands, 5/6 off of our creatures. But then I see the white source and I start thinking maybe they have something like a cast out. What are they splashing for? And I start to get a little bit nervous, especially given the possibility of us not managing to get there. And I think, hey, maybe it's better that we just go Bastion of the Lost, get in for what damage we can, and do it from there, because once we have Bastion in play, that's the entire combo, basically. So if they have any kind of interaction from the white that could otherwise stop the Citadel, we can do it. I think this was a misplay in hindsight. It was much more likely that they had the white in there for creature interaction, given that is kind of the weakness of the colorless deck, and that is in fact what they had. Whether or not they had cast out is irrelevant. I think it was just way more obvious that the white splash was going to be for something like that. And I wasn't even really sure at this point if it was the colorless deck. It could have been a number of different things. Like, could just be some mono-white control brew somebody had. Already had a Citadel bottoming that. Just trying to find a collected company here, basically, because I think that is our best out. I was tempted to try and like grind through. I opted to just keep digging there, though. Getting in a decent amount of damage with the Bastion triggers. I believe I opted to keep that on top because of the graveyard sacking, or the graveyard hit they had. And that is something that's kind of necessary to combo off with a Citadel for the win. Opponent opts to immediately exile my graveyard and my Woe Strider. We ping them one more time and proceed to deploy what we have and go from there. And so opponent drops an Ugin. This is extra bad for us because it can not only deal with our board, it can also just destroy our Citadel, and as you can imagine, that's kind of the nightmare. So looking at the board, I opt to play a land, and if I'm not much so then I just debate for a bit on what exactly is most important to me. I decide making sure that the Citadel is actually lethal is most important, and dig a little bit deeper into my deck. This way, if I actually drop the Citadel, they can't just blow it up when I whiff. Unfortunately, they also have big Ugin, not just little Ugin. So they kind of clear our board again, and we're left with a really, really bad position. Ugin is like one of the worst things this deck can go up against. It's just, it answers our entire board state while also making it hard for us to reestablish ourselves. We want to kind of sit there, present a front of blockers to creature decks, present a front of card advantage to control decks, and then try and take over from there. Unfortunately for us, our opponent had, our opponent was an Ugin deck, and that's just something that doesn't care about your card advantage. It'll generate its own and way more than you can. At least your on-board card advantage. And it doesn't care about small aggro because it's fast enough to come down to deal with the smaller stuff. At least in these ramping decks. So we drew the best card we could have possibly drawn there in Collected Company. Kind of the only real shot at victory we have is dropping a Collected Company at the end of turn, and then plopping down our Bolas's Citadel, and trying to go off from there. What we would ideally hit would be a Woe Strider, even though we only have 2 left, and a Blood Artist, so that the Citadel kill is much more likely. Here I opt to go for the Collected Company because they've already used the walkers that matter. Unfortunately, we don't get a great hit. We get a Blood Artist and a Priest. Double Blood Artist seems tempting because if we hit because if we hit a Woe Strider, we would be able to really combo off, but I opt instead for the Priest because it gives us access to more mana, basically. And it also let us hope to draw another Collected Company, potentially into another Blood Artist. Just all around, it gave us more options to actually kill. Unfortunately, we didn't really get there with it. So here I'm just trying to decide exactly what to do. I realize my only real option is to just go for it, though. And so after a little bit of thought in exactly how lucky I'd have to get, I opt to, instead of forcing them to down tick or similar, target them with the priest, sack my 2 creatures. Be very sad about the Blood Artist part of this. This hits them for 4. And then I activate the Phyrexian Tower, sacrificing my priest and dropping the Citadel in the hopes that I get absurdly lucky and somehow manage to drop enough permanents into play to go for the win. Unfortunately, land on top plus Ugin, small Ugin down tick is pretty good. And oh yeah, I forgot, I wasn't even playing to the Citadel activation. I was playing to Woe Strider and Blood Artists because of the Karn. And that's all we had time for that day. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. It'll really help the channel grow. And let me know if you prefer this voiceover style or if you prefer my normal content. See you all next time.